A $1,600 console table being used as a table at a coffee shop. Be so for real. Okay guys, so today we are going to be talking about the Hazel Boutique console table problem. Okay, so essentially, Hazel Boutique and, well, I think it's really just like Hazel Boutique is what it's called, but they also have a coffee shop. Honestly, their store is a vibe. Their products are so insanely cute. Their Instagram is adorable. It's so cool, and seriously, I would shop there. If they had that where I lived, I would 1,000,000% be spending all my money there. They have 4 different locations in New Jersey. Now, the other participant in this situation is a TikTok user that goes by the handle Beauty Hut. Now, Beauty Hut and her family, they were going on vacation. They were in New Jersey. Her 3-year-old daughter and her 76-year-old mother went to Hazel Boutique and they were getting coffees, and the grandma and the daughter, they stayed at the table while Beauty Hut went up to the counter to order.
I took my 3-year-old daughter and 76-year-old mom for coffee and ice cream, and we're at the beach, so we went to this local place in Levelette called Hazel Boutique, and I had my mom and daughter sit at a table to wait for me while I was getting the coffee, just because the place was so packed.
And then she says that all of a sudden she heard a big crash behind her, and she turns around and looks, and here this 600-pound like stone granite console table had fallen over and broke, and there were pieces that like flew out everywhere.
I'm at the register paying for a coffee, and I hear a loud bang, and I look, and my daughter, who was trying to push the table away from her, pushed it over, and the table, which I later learned was 600 pounds, broke into a bunch of pieces. It was a stone table.
Now, obviously, Beauty Hut made sure that her mom and her daughter were okay. She said that her daughter was like stunned, didn't really know what to do because it was so shocking, and she said obviously embarrassed, felt terrible. She was like, oh my god, let me pay you for the damages. And like the very first thing that the people at Hazel Boutique said was that it was a $1,600 table, and essentially they have the policy, if you break it, you buy it. So she was expected to just like fork over the money right then and there. There's a bit of a back and forth, and then the owner gets called, and Beauty Hut has a whole conversation with the owner where essentially she's like, no, we need this documentation from you. You're here on vacation. Like, we need your ID. We need you to pay for this. And the mom is like, hey, so do you mind, like Beauty Hut, she's like, do you mind if I'd like console my kid and like make sure that she's good, and I'd like to take her to a hospital, because even though thankfully this table didn't fall on anybody, like who knows, I just want to make sure she's okay. She's normally a chatty kid and she's really quiet right now, so I just want to make sure she's like not in shock and gets any sort of medical attention that she needs immediately.
I'm freaking out. I first I want to get to her and make sure everything's okay, so I like push through the crowd. I check on her, see if she's all right, if she got hurt, if anybody else got hurt. I was so grateful there was nobody else on the other end of that table, because you know their leg could have been amputated. It was so heavy. It was just like a big piece of granite, I think. And you know, my mom's so nervous and she's embarrassed, and I talked to the people there, and I said, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. You know, what could I do to make this right? And my daughter's just kind of, she's not crying, she's not reaching for me, she's not calling mommy, she's just kind of frozen and scared and nervous, you know. And everybody's reaction definitely didn't help. But the kicker was when I finally got on with the owner, because things went down a way that I could have never anticipated or expected. Everybody else kind of had like mean girl vibes, and I understand they were upset, you know, I completely get it. And I was ready to pay for the damages, and that wasn't the issue. When the owner got on the phone, I said, oh my god, I'm so sorry, we're so embarrassed, da, da, da. My daughter even kept saying, I'm so sorry. But she didn't say much more than that, and she's very, very chatty usually, you know. So Anyway, the owner said, well, the table is almost $2,000. It's $1,600. So you can't leave until I have your license and a credit card. And I said, okay, well, I have to leave because I have to make sure that she's okay. She's surrounded by 50 people now. She's 3. And, you know, I want to make sure my kid's all right. So let me go get her checked out, make sure she didn't get hurt. Bits and pieces of this table like broke off into a million directions. Like, let me just catch my breath and make sure she's okay. I said,
so yeah, they pretty much just like hold her there until she gives them their IDs, and it's a really strange situation. And I thought it was interesting that she said it felt very much like mean girl behavior. In the end, they kind of got everything like somewhat figured out, but obviously she's like, I was so embarrassed and I just felt like I was being belittled, even though I was trying to be very like accommodating, and obviously wasn't going to skip out on fixing the table, or I mean like paying for a new one, you know what I mean? Like she's on vacation, she had a lot of shit going on, and she wasn't even at home to deal with it.
I gave you all my contact information. She required an email too. I gave her that. She got an email. She got my husband's information, our cell phone numbers, but I wasn't allowed to leave. And I don't know how that works, but I wasn't allowed to leave. I couldn't leave until I provided her a picture of my license, or a picture of my husband's driver's license, or my credit card for the $1,600 table. And I said, I have to call you back and we can, you know, figure it out. But I do have to take care of my kid. Anyway, it was like a big scene, big absolute, and all she kept repeating was, our policy is you break it, you pay for it. And you break it, you bought it. And I was so surprised because not one time on the phone did she ask if Allie was okay or if anybody else got hurt. She didn't once say, hey, is your daughter all right? Is she shaken up? I was completely humiliated and embarrassed, and I've cried since. I took my daughter to urgent care because she was in like a weird state about her, you know? She was just like, so, I mean, it was loud. Can you imagine like a solid stone table dropping to the ground? And all the owner kept repeating was, you know, we have everything on video. I stuck around for 20 minutes to give you my contact information so that you can contact me, so that I can make it right by you guys and your business. So for you to keep repeating that everything's on video, I'm not disputing the fact that my kid pushed your table. That's what happened. I'm glad no one was hurt. But I don't know how to deal with this now, you know? Like so anyway, I took my daughter to urgent care, and the PA there, she was so sweet. She explained that, you know, she was probably in just like a state of shock. So yeah, that was what happened. We're at the Jersey Shore in Lavallette, and I would love any feedback that you guys can offer. If anything similar has happened to you, how you went about it. Is like this Mean Girls thing that we're doing now, because it was disgusting. Like, my mom's got tears in her eyes and she's crying because she's older, you know, so everything gets her nervous. And these days I'm like trying to keep it together and like having the absolute worst pushback. And am I crazy?
Now, since then, she has gotten some comments of people somewhat criticizing her, and she addresses all of the criticism.
So you think it's wild that I took my 3-year-old daughter to an urgent care to get checked out after a stone slab of a table fell around her? Well, I'll explain why I did. So not only was I in a state of extreme anxiety, because as I was trying to tend to my toddler and my elderly mom, I was being pulled out from and away from them to speak to the owner of the establishment so that I can make immediate payment on the damages. Because of my state of anxiety, I wanted to make sure that I had a set of eyes, a medical professional, assess my daughter physically, as well as her mental state, because she was in a state of shock and completely frozen. She wasn't responding to my questions of what I was asking her. how it happened, what happened, was she all right, was she hurt? And since I didn't trust myself at the moment because of my anxiety, which at times is crippling, I thought it was best to go to an urgent care, which was close by, just to have someone take a look at her. So that's why I did that. And to answer your second comment, you thought that it was weird that I expected them to cater to my feelings. Yeah, it would be weird. You're right. It would be super weird if I expected a business to cater to my feelings. I asked, essentially what I asked them to do is, please send me a bill for the damages. And I was met with, no, we need your driver's license and a credit card right now. And if you don't have it, you need to contact your husband and get it. That's what I was met with. I simply asked for, please send me a bill, send me a receipt of what you paid for the table, etc., all the details so we can get it sorted when everyone is nice and calm and I was able to tend to my child. So, if you have further questions, I'm happy to answer them. Hey, so a bunch of people have actually been asking me this, and thanks to TikTok and you guys, we found out that the table is actually a console table from Anthropology. It's a marble console table, and it's not even meant to be used as dining or cafe table. So I appreciate you guys and all the comments that everyone's been leaving, and have just been super helpful. It was the weight distribution of the table, so she was pushing on here, and whereas normal table would move away, you know, like this is a light aluminum table, but because of the weight distribution, it's hard to even push it because it's standing on, you know, all fours. Whereas that table has like these two marble columns, so easy to topple over. And that's what happened. She doesn't lift weights professionally, but yes, for everyone asking how she did it.
And then Beauty Hut does post another video where she's like, I do not give consent for people to be using my 3-year-old daughter's likeness, image, anything of the sort in any sort of videos, which people have been doing, which I do not like that. That is like really upsetting, and why? It genuinely does not add any type of value to the situation. So then obviously the online sleuths are going to do some sleuthing, and they figure out that it's not even a table, it's a console table. So something that should be like pushed up against a wall, and it's being used as a table. And then people go back on Hazel Boutique's social medias, and they find a cute little video that they had made for social, and they notice that the table is So now, since that video has been found and people were criticizing them for using a console table, they have now since taken the video down, but thankfully it's been re-uploaded multiple times. And the owners have finally came out with a statement. It's been like roughly 4-ish days since the original video was posted. Now the post at Hazel Boutique reads, "First and foremost, we are extremely grateful that the 3-year-old girl, her grandmother, mother, and every customer who is present are safe and unharmed. We understand this incident may have been startling when the table fell with a loud noise, and our priority has been to ensure the family felt supported and cared for. Clear surveillance footage confirms that the girl accidentally kicked the table, causing it to tip over. Thankfully, it did not strike anyone, and the child showed no signs of distress, walking away calmly from the scene. Following the incident, we personally called the child's mother to express our concern, offer our support, and share our direct contact information should she need anything. As an added precaution, we have since removed all tables from our locations to eliminate eliminate any risk of a similar incident. We also want to be completely transparent. We would never hold anyone against their will. The mother was not charged for the damaged table even after asking how she could make it right given the table broke. We requested her contact information for insurance purposes. At Hazel Boutique, safety and hospitality are the foundation of everything we do. While this was an unfortunate and rare occurrence, our commitment to creating a safe, welcoming environment for every guest has never been stronger. We are incredibly thankful for our loyal customers and the communities we serve, and will continue to do everything possible to ensure their safety and well-being. Hazel Boutique. Now, since then, Beauty Hut has also put a statement up on TikTok, and hers reads, "A few days ago, an unfortunate incident occurred at the Hazelnut Cafe. My 3-year-old daughter accidentally knocked over a table, which damaged it. I immediately offered to pay for any damages. As stated in my TikTok video, the acting managers at the Hazelnut Cafe told me I wasn't allowed to leave unless I provided a copy of my driver's license and credit card to pay for the table. It was a very stressful situation, especially with my toddler there. I am so thankful and humbled by the outpouring of public support. It has meant the world to our family. Since the incident, the Hazelnut Cafe did reach out to apologize for how our family was treated. We have accepted their apology and are satisfied. We want to move forward peacefully and do not wish to comment on this matter any further. Beauty Hut." So it does seem like we do have a resolution, which is really cool because we don't always see that in these situations. So it sounds like both parties are like chill. People, of course, had thoughts on this entire situation and also pointed out how weird it was that Hazelnut Cafe, Hazel Boutique and Hazelnut Cafe, that's like low-key really cute. Anyways, people were pointing out it's weird that they said, oh, we have surveillance video and the girl kicked the table. Like, you're just trying to like blatantly point out like, oh yeah, she did it, even though everyone knows and the mom never said like, no, she didn't do it. You know what I mean? Which was weird. And like I said, people obviously had thoughts.
Not Hazel Boutique doing everything but apologizing. They just released a response and I don't see a sorry in it. If you haven't made it to Tablegate, this mom took her 3-year-old daughter to Hazel Boutique Cafe and her kid knocked down a 600-pound table. When the table was knocked down, they made the mom give her credit card and ID to pay for the $1,600 table before she was able to get to her kid. And the reason why Tablegate is a discussion is because this is a console. It should be against the wall instead of being used like this where it's obviously wobbly and the table is moving. But Hazel Boutique finally responded, basically saying they're grateful that the kid did not get hurt and they have clear surveillance footage of it happening, which I don't know why they had to mention. What struck out to me was they said the child showed no signs of distress, walking away calmly from the scene. But the mother claims that the kid was like in shock. Of course, when you break something, you're in shock. Then they said they followed up with the mother to express their concern and support, and that they did not hold the mother against her will, and that she was not charged for the damaged table. And blah, blah, blah. They care about safety and hospitality at Hazel Boutique, and they're grateful for all the customers. Where's the sorry and apology? This looks like it was written up by ChatGPT, honestly. I'm so shocked the way they responded to this. I feel like the mom should not be paying for the table. She should be paying for a lawyer.
Did you hear about that 3-year-old that accidentally broke a $1,600 coffee table at the Hazelnut Boutique in New Jersey, and those 2 women who owned the coffee shop ended up shaming the mom for 20 minutes and refused to let her get to her daughter, who, mind you, is surrounded by 50 people that are staring at the situation? They demanded that she gives contact information and a credit card info for the damages. Mind you, she did that. And they made her stand there for 20 minutes while they made her feel bad as a mom. And those are scammers, okay? My parents owned a small business for over a decade. If anything breaks in your business, that's why you have insurance and they take care of it, even if it is the Patreon's fault, okay? And then there's also a video on the Hazelnut Boutique page that they just took down that shows how wobbly that coffee table is. And it was meant for decor purposes, not functional dining. But they took that down because it shows how much they were in the wrong. Okay? Bro, I think you lost a lot more than just a coffee top table by you acting like this. Honestly, be so for real.
However, like I said, it sounds like there has been a resolution and this entire situation can just be put to bed, which is so cool because, like I said, we don't always see that in these situations. However, that is the end of the entire story. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because it's free and you cannot break anything and then have to pay for it. So that's nice. And I hope that I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.